The best way to get online coaching clients for your online sports coaching program is to make content on Instagram to get them to know, like, and trust you and ask you how they can sign up for your program. And in this video, I'm gonna walk you through the step-by-step process that you need to use to get clients to sign up for your online sports coaching program using Instagram. If this is your first time here, my name is Nick Neville. I run an online consulting company called Just Coach, where we help sports coaches achieve time and financial freedom by implementing the online mentorship model so they can train more athletes, make more money, and create a life of way more freedom. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. I got an absolute banger for you. This video was actually inspired by a training that I just gave to my clients inside of my coaching program, Remote Training University, because they were asking how they can use their content to get more clients into their program, okay? So I'm gonna be doing some drawings, some different stuff like that in this video. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. So if you watch any of my content, you know I talk a lot about using your Instagram as a funnel, okay? And the reason why we wanna think about it as a funnel is as people go down the funnel, there's going to be less and less and less people, okay? So a lot of people maybe understand that we're gonna have the top of the funnel, the middle of the funnel, and the bottom of the funnel, okay? Now, what does this actually mean in practice, okay? What it means is that we need to take people through 3 stages. The first thing that people need is they need to become aware of who we are, right? The second thing that we need to do, I'm gonna write this over here, is we need to build trust. And then the third thing that we need to do is convert them into our program. Now, what does that actually look like tactically? So I had a client who was asking, he's like, hey, you know, I made a post, it got a bunch of inbound DMs. You know, a lot of people maybe could be looking at this post, reaching out to me because they want free stuff. You know, maybe I should be a little bit more direct. And I caught him there. I was like, hey, dude, there's nothing wrong with offering or making a call to action on your Instagram page where people come inbound looking for free stuff. At the end of the day, if they watch a 15-second reel and they message you, what is the probability that if they've never heard of you before, watch 15 seconds of your reel, and then now they're reaching out, that they're just gonna pull out their credit card and hand you $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 for an online sports coaching program? The answer is very, very, very unlikely, right? Which is why the rest of the content funnel is so important. So the first thing that we need to do is get their attention, right? We need to get awareness of who we are. Then we need to build their trust. Then we need to convert them, okay? So hopefully, I mean, at least if you've been watching my stuff for a little bit, you understand that principle, hopefully on a very fundamental, foundational level. If you don't understand that, then I have a ton of other videos on this channel where I walk through the actual funnel that you need to take people through, okay? So once we understand we need to take people through these 3 stages conceptually, this is how I explained it to this client, okay? Think about your followers on Instagram as a pool of fish, okay? And I got a couple different colors here to illustrate, okay? Let's say our ideal client, in this instance, he's trying to help undersized quarterbacks who want to improve their arm strength, okay? We're going to say that they are a green fish, okay? We want as many green fish inside of this pond as we can possibly get. Now, sometimes people will say, oh, I don't want anybody besides green fish following me on Instagram. Well, if you only have people that are green fish following you on Instagram, you'll probably have like 75 followers because your content is so niche specific, right? So when we think about the actual funnel of your content, what you're trying to do is you're trying to make content that is on topic with what your ideal client is going to like, but the content that's going to get their attention is maybe, let's say, talking to football players, high school football players, or even quarterbacks, and making content that is relevant to quarterbacks in general. Then we're going to make separate content that is only relevant to high school quarterbacks who are maybe undersized, that want to improve their arm strength. Then at the bottom of the funnel, we're only talking to high school quarterbacks who want to improve their arm strength, who are undersized, who are looking for a coach, who want to play in college. You see how as we go down the funnel, we're getting more and more and more specific. You see the biggest problem or the biggest mistake that people make inside their content is they typically will only do one thing. They either make super broad content or they're super, super specific. We need to make a distribution of all sorts of types of content so we can talk to people at different stages in the funnel, okay? So with that being said, we're making content to get these green fish who are our ideal clients. We're also making content that attracts these blue fish, okay? So let's say these blue fish are high school quarterbacks, but they don't necessarily identify with being undersized. They're probably not going to buy our offer in particular because people buy experts, right? This particular client, he got a lot more specific on what his offer is, and he narrowed down to undersized high school quarterbacks who wanted to improve their arm strength. He was all over the place before then, and his DMs were inconsistent. He wasn't getting a lot of people to reach out all the time. Why is that? Well, because he was too broad. He wasn't being specific enough in the problems that he was articulating. Now, this client was able to go from 0 to over, I think he has like 10,000 followers now on Instagram in 3 or 4 months. Not a whole lot of time because he makes great content. That is probably the most difficult part that a lot of people run into is they have a difficult time getting people's attention and growing their following. Now, once you know how to grow somebody's following or grow your following, you need to get a lot more specific in the messaging. I digress. Okay, so then let's say you have these redfish who are maybe just high school football players in general who are liking your stuff. Okay, all of these people are going to be inside of your following. And the purpose of your top of funnel content is to fill the pond. Okay? The entire purpose of your top of funnel content is to fill the pond, okay? And we ideally want as many of these green fish as we possibly can, okay? From there, we want to make middle of funnel content that feeds the green fish, okay? So if we make a really good piece of top of funnel content, we have clients inside of our program that get hundreds of thousands of views or millions of views sometimes on their post that get a ton of people coming inbound to their page. Now, not every single person that watches that video is going to be their ideal client, but what it does do is it pushes their content out to more people who are just like their ideal client. It increases the probability that their ideal client is seeing their stuff. Now, you are an absolute stranger to this person who just saw your piece of content for the first time. So what we need to do is we need to feed them with the beliefs that they need to have, with proof, with education, and personal content, okay? Because people do business with people that they know, like, and trust. All of these types of pieces of content are designed to do one thing, which is build trust with the people in the pond, okay? With these green fish. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to be magnetic towards the green fish, okay? So the top of the funnel content, we're trying to get as many people into the pond. From there, we are making content that is specific only to the green fish that builds trust with them. If we turn off the blue fish, the red fish, let's say there are other types of fish in here, if we turn them off, that's fine because they are not going to join our program. But we do need to make content that caters to a wide demographic so that way we can get people in the funnel and then we feed the fish with the trust building content. From there, at the bottom of the funnel, this is where we can make direct calls to action, aka hooks. And I don't mean hooks in the sense of, the first 3 seconds of the video. I mean that we're actually throwing lines out there. That's supposed to be a hook, right? I'm gonna make this look like a fisherman. That's absolutely terrible. That is a hook. That is like a fishing pole with a hook that we're trying to get this green fish to bite it, right? And so as we're making middle of funnel content, it's essentially food for the green fish. And as the fish eats more food, it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger until eventually it's ready to grab onto the hook and we can pull it up and sign it up into our coaching program. I know this might be a little bit of an abstract concept, but if you can understand this entire funnel of how we're filling up the pond, how we're feeding the fish and getting them ready to actually get pulled up to the surface, then you can sign up people into your online coaching program, okay? So hopefully this training was valuable for you. If you want my help, me and my team's help, actually implementing something like this so you can actually sign up athletes in your online coaching program, you can check out the link in the description. Either way, if you just want to continue to learn for free on this YouTube channel, that's cool with me. Hopefully you got a ton of value out of this. Catch you in the next one. Peace.